Hi, everybody. We are here. Happy New Year. This is so exciting. New Year's Eve. We are here to have another episode of our Hidden Gems podcast. This is our second one that we've done live. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel. So good to see you again. And we made it. I think I think either we have to yell Jumanji at 12 midnight or we're going to have to stake this year through the heart Peter Cushing style. But hey,
I think so.
Nietzsche once said, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And if that is the case, then we're going to be like, bullets are going to be bouncing off our chests like Superman or something.
Yes, I was just going to say we're all Captain America right now.
That works too, yes.
Yes. So we have the chat room open if anybody has any comments or their thoughts. And we thought it would be fun this week for the Hidden Gems to kind of look back on the year that we've had, because I got this idea. I've really actually had been thinking about it for a while when I did my best of the decade collab, and Ryan was on there, and I've heard so many people tell me that Whiplash is a masterpiece, and I've always like it's good. I don't love it though. I think it's good, but you were the first person that actually explained it in a way that I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why people think it's a masterpiece, and so I think he's really good at explaining how his thoughts on movies. He's very thoughtful. He's very good, and I wanted to work with him more. And so when this all happened and we were all going to be streaming for a while, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to do some episodes with Ryan where we talk about Disney Plus? That was the original idea. And then some streaming. And then it just kept going and going and going. And it was it's been a great thing. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, first of all, Rachel, I'm flattered that I have been a part of all of this. This has been one of my highlights of this year, just to be a part of this podcast with you and hearing all the positive feedback of everyone listening and watching and telling us that we're doing a really good job. And honestly, thinking back to me doing that video to be put into that best of the decade video, it was like 11 o'clock at night at my time. I was so tired. I had recorded like 2 videos earlier that night, and I was about to close my setup down. I'm like, oh crap, I got to get Rachel that video by in a couple days. So I figured, got everything all set up, I might as well just do it now. And so I took a couple, like 3 or 4 bullet points, and then I spewed into the camera for like 8 minutes and then edited it all together. I'm like, oh, I hope she likes that. And it turns out, well, I'm now a part of the Rachel Reviews podcasting empire. So in a weird roundabout way, it was an audition tape and I just didn't know it.
You did great. Yeah. I mean, I always feel so grateful to anybody who is willing to spend time to not only just for my channel, but just to benefit my life, and is willing to give you your time and talents. And so I'm glad to hear that it's been a positive experience for you as well. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was just gonna be a couple episodes on Disney Plus, and then I remember when people, I think it was AMC or somebody like that, originally said 4 to 6 weeks closure, and I was like, 6 weeks? Come on. Ridiculous. I mean,
2,000 years.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Crazy.
Yeah, me too. When we did our first Disney Plus episode, I was thinking to myself, okay, this was a cool one-off. And now we're like, we did it in March, so like 9 months deep, and we're still doing it, and more on the horizon. I had no idea that this podcast had this amount of legs, and I'm grateful for it. But at the same time, I was just like, all right, 1, 2, 3 episodes. That's cool. I get to interact with a person who has way more subscribers than I do, so that almost never happens to me. I think I'm like my little island, mostly to myself. But now I've actually worked with you, Rachel. I've worked with other creators. Got to interview with Micah over at Wimpy Studios in October to promote my Scary Mania series. So this podcast has given me more subscribers and more of an outreach than I could have ever thought possible. And it's just going to get bigger. And I have you, Rachel, to thank for that. You played as much a part of that as anything I did. So,
well, thank you. I think it's been a great friendship and a great experience. And I think that's one of the things that 2020 has kind of taught us to be creative, but then also to reach out in new ways to friends and I don't know, embark on those creative enterprises that maybe you thought about but never really done, and then just do them. And I think that's been a good thing out of all of this. And so, yeah, it's been great. And I think it's been a fun show, both for the streaming services that we've gotten a chance to look at, but also for just the eclectic group of films that we've talked about. We talked about almost 300 movies because we do 10 every single episode. And we've had everything from Hallmark movies to prestige films to Criterion films to television series. You know, we talked about Lego series. We talked about, just everything that we think is cool.
Yeah, it's run the whole gamut. I remember an episode back in October we were doing Peacock, and I remember one of the movies I recommended was The Brides of Dracula, which was the sequel to the reboot of Dracula from Hammer Studios over in the UK.
Yeah.
And you asked me, so is Dracula like married? Is this like a whole polygamy thing? And I was like, don't ask questions.
The Brides of...
It was the funniest thing. And I laughed about that for days because I love the Hammer Dracula movies, and even I can't figure out the logic of them half the time. But it's funny because I try to explain it to people, and they just be like, they look at me like I got lobsters coming out of my ears.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you always say a hard right.
Hard left.
Hard left, hard right. That, because that's what happens a lot. You know, we'll be talking about Lawrence of Arabia, and then he'll be like, well, hard left over to Superman or whatever.
Well, it is nice to have variety. I don't remember who said this, but variety is the spice of life. And I like how in one breath, like you said, we can go from talking about like top tier stuff to like destroy all monsters and like everything in between. And we don't look down on anything either. We're like the opposite of film Twitter. Everything is cinema.
That's right. That's right. If you can watch it, if you can enjoy it, then let's talk about it. That's, I think, our philosophy. I think Johnny says, well, given the price of lobster. Yes, very true. So what we are doing.
Oh man, that's funny. That's really funny.
We picked 6 of the streaming services that we have reviewed the most on the podcast, and we came up with a ranking system of points, and so we have a total, and we're going to go over our ranking, and so we have Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, Amazon Prime, and Canopy were the ones that we profiled the most on this podcast. And so we're going to start with the lowest score of these ones is actually coming in at 23 points is Peacock. And we rated it by original content, curated content, hidden gems, and bang for a buck. So Peacock, why don't you, we ended up with 4 points from Peacock for original content. So we each gave it a 2. Explain to us why you gave it a 2.
So, in terms of original content for Peacock, I keep looking at the service, and I just have to think to myself, kind of, it just seems very barren to me. There's stuff that
Yeah.
I've heard about, like the Brave New World series, but I didn't watch that, and so there's I think Peacock was built on the back of, we are going to have The Office and we are going to be broadcasting the Summer Olympics.
Right.
Well, COVID said hold our beer, and the Olympics got pushed to next year, hopefully, and The Office isn't coming on there until seemingly in the next couple days, maybe, possibly.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
And so with all that in mind, I think they had a plan, and then the pandemic just said, forget all your plans. And so I think Peacock did the best that they could, and I don't think it's necessarily their fault, but at the same time, I mean, it just seems very threadbare in the original content department.
Pretty much the only original content that I watched that I can think of on Peacock was the Psych movie, and then also I loved the Rockettes Christmas Spectacular special that they did. Those are the only two things, so it ended up getting a 2 for me as well. So 4 total from us on original content. And I like it. Christian says, I feel weird every time I say the name Peacock.
Me too, Christian. Me too.
Sometimes I'll say NBC Peacock because that sounds a little better.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
All right. So then curated content, we gave Peacock a 6 total. So 3 for me, 3 from you. And I think that it is very strong and it's getting stronger don't they have the I'm getting them all confused now. Don't they have the Harry Potter?
They just added the Bond movies, that I know.
Yeah. Oh, they do? I thought Amazon had the Bond movies.
Amazon does, but Peacock has them as well. Every one of them except for the Craig ones, which is a very weird choice, but there you go.
Yeah, I think they are on the Harry Potter movies are on Peacock, but they also have a really strong group of classic films it's kind of underrated for that. And we've always had no problem finding some things to recommend out of their curated content. And yeah, and shows wise, I mean, Downton Abbey, as you said, The Office, Parks and Rec, lots of shows people love.
There's this really underrated show on there called Yellowstone, starring Kevin Costner. That's really good.
I've heard that's good. Yep. So, okay. Then Hidden Gems for Peacock, we gave it also 6 total, 3. And yeah, we've had a pretty easy time coming up with our suggestions when it's not the best, but it's right there, solid.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then bang for your buck. So I gave it 4, you gave it 3. I mean, it's free for me because I get it with my Comcast, so that's my favorite price of all, free $99. But I know for other people, it's not seen as much of a bargain if you don't have Comcast.
Yeah, and I know for me, I use the free version as well, and I'm very satisfied with it. I mean, I could upgrade anytime I want. I see some of the stuff on there where I'm like, oh, that looks good. Oh, it's behind the paywall. But
yeah,
that's surprisingly been few and far between. There's enough Hitchcock movies on there to tide me over. There's enough classic monster movies on there to tide me over, and that's just stuff I can think of off the top of my head. So yeah. I said 3 because even if you do go with the free version, there is enough to hold you over, and you can go up to the next level if you want to.
And with Comcast, you do get the premium version. It's not the free version. So 23 for Peacock. And all in all, these are pretty close. Our highest score is a 36. So yeah, it's not that far off. All right. So then our next our next in our ranking is Canopy at 28 points. So a pretty big jump there from Peacock. And Canopy is our service that we get with our library cards. And we've reviewed it a number of times. And so it starts out, it takes a big hit because we got 0 points for original content because they have no original content. So that's almost not fair because that's not what it's about. It's a library service. They're not about making original content for the library.
Yeah, it's built for film studies classes at colleges, not like Netflix or anything.
Yeah. So then curated content, on the other hand, it's all curated content, the whole service. And so we gave it a 10. Perfect score. Because they have tons of foreign films. They have tons of Criterion releases. They actually have a bunch of new releases that you can watch. And it's really good.
Yeah, and even if you don't go into the foreign films, there's still a lot of classics on there. Like I'm looking at it right now. They've got Charlie Chaplin's The Kid, which is one of my favorite silent movies. Mm-hmm. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, same thing. House on Haunted Hill, starring my man Vincent Price, and you could just go down the rabbit hole from there. I highly suggest Canopy if you want a good place to go into like the classics, and not talking about the classics that have been talked about to death, like Lawrence of Arabia and Godfather and Citizen Kane. No disrespect to those movies. Those movies are awesome. But if you've watched those and are looking to maybe dig a little deeper, then Canopy, as Big Papa Canopy, has got your hookup.
Mm-hmm. So Johnny says, couldn't find libraries in my area that did Canopy, but did find Hoopla support via a friend's library card.
Yeah. Hoopla is excellent. It's not only can you get movies on there, but you can also rent audiobooks and actual books, and I mean ebooks. My apologies. And e-comic books. That's how I read most of the comics, through Hoopla. So Hoopla is a very underrated service. Yeah,
and Hoopla has a lot more sort of commercially successful type films, more things like it has a bunch of Lifetime movies, things like that, which is fun.
Yeah, that's how I watched Midnight Cowboy for the AFI project.
And if I'm saying full disclosure, I actually don't have Canopy by me, but Ryan is kind enough. We share a Canopy account, I guess. So that's nice. And then also I don't even have Hoopla at my local library, but my friend Emily lets me use her Hoopla account. So it all works out. It's great. So as long as you make sure that you don't use up too much of your friend's credit, that's the only thing. Don't be rude. Okay. So next, we have Hidden Gems. There's a lot of hidden gems on Canopy. So we have it at 844, I believe. We have 8 total for hidden gems. And then bang for your buck, it gets a 10. It's free with a library card.
The greatest price in the world.
Yep, my favorite price, free 99. Okay, 28 points for Canopy. Okay, then HBO Max is coming up next at 29 points total. So HBO Max, for original content, we gave it 2 each, so 4 total. And they had some really strong, they did have some strong stuff, particularly the Looney Tunes cartoons I thought were brilliant. I'm going to have my best of 2020 series coming out tomorrow. And you'll see that the Looney Tunes cartoons are pretty high up on that list. So I loved that. That was a big win for me with HBO Max. But I'm trying to think what other original content. I did not like the Anna Kendrick show that they had. That wasn't for me. I thought I would like it, but I don't know. I didn't like it. What about you? What did you think about their original content?
Yeah, I gave it a 2 because I watched the first episode of one of their original series, Raised by Wolves, which was produced by Ridley Scott. And I think Ridley Scott is currently in this style over substance phase, because the series looked beautiful, but The actual show itself was just kind of, it's been told like 1,000 times. So that aside, I think HBO Max is still relatively young. I think they have. I think the fact that they're releasing all of Warner Brothers' slate onto HBO Max as well as the theaters is a big boost for them in the originals department. But as far as originals like themselves, I think they still have a bit of ways to go, which I'm sure they'll get there eventually.
Yeah, and there's some stuff I just haven't seen. I haven't seen Euphoria. I haven't seen his Dark Materials. So, we did like the Class Action Park. That was pretty fun as far as the documentary. And yeah, I guess technically Wonder Woman 84 is an original HBO Max. That feels weird to say. But yeah, so yeah, they have room for improvement when it comes to original content on HBO Max. So for their curated content, we gave them a 7, and I forget which one of us gave it 4, which one of us gave it 3.
I gave it a 4.
Okay, so I gave it a 3. I can remember. The reason why I gave it a 3 is because their curated content has been so inconsistent. I mean, one minute they have the Lego movies, next minute they're gone. One minute they have Harry Potter, next minute they're gone. One minute they have the DC movies, then they're gone. And I know that there's turnover in every single streaming service, but it seemed like especially bad with HBO Max to me, that the stuff that they were like heavily advertising that, look, you can watch all of your favorites, then it would just be gone. And then I had to give them some credit on things like the Studio Ghibli library that they have, the TCM and Criterion films they have. So they do have a really good set of the anime that they have. They have a good set of Criterion. They have a good set of curated content, but I feel like it needs to be a little bit more consistent, and we need to be able to expect things for more than just like 1 month.
I agree. I agree with you. It has been inconsistent, but what they do have is very, very strong. Not only do they have like all of HBO's TV catalog for years, but they have all their sports documentaries that I love. I love that they have an extensive TCM library, and I love that they have some old Cartoon Network shows on there. I hope they add more. If you could add some Toonami shows, that would be great. And I love how they have all the old Godzilla movies on there from the Showa era. Like that's been a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I gave it a 4 just because what they do have, in my opinion, is very strong.
Yeah. So then Hidden Gems, we gave them an 8. So both of us gave them a 4 because, yes, it is very strong with Hidden Gems. All of the TCM, all of their previous films, and the anime, Studio Ghibli, all that stuff. There's just a lot of really good classic content to watch on HBO Max.
Yeah, they. I think TCM could add more if they really want to go all gonzo with it. They could add a lot of their Hammer films they have in their back catalog, like the Reptile. If they had the Reptile on there, that would just be awesome. And add the Quartermass Experiment while you're at it. But yeah, in terms of Hidden Gems, it was not hard to make my list for those episodes because I just take one scroll down the screen and be like, I found 5 already, and I've looked at one side of things. Like it is impressively easy. There really is something for everybody, as cliche as that sounds.
Yes. So then for bang for your buck, we actually gave it a 10 because we think it is a great deal. I mean, I get it free $99 with my Comcast membership, so that's, again, my favorite price. But their regular price, 6 months for $70, $69.99, that's a really good price for all that you get with HBO Max.
And even if you buy it for anything else, you buy it with the knowledge that all of Warner Brothers' 2021 slate, which includes Godzilla vs. Kong, Dune, and Space Jam 2 is going directly onto that HBO Max service, and we can debate the ethics on that versus theaters all day long. But giving the people that choice is very smart in the short term, at least.
Yeah, it's less than the price of one ticket to a movie for a whole month of everything with HBO Max. So it's a great deal. And
someone who worked at a movie theater for over 3 years, I should know.
Right. So it ends up with 29, and John says, first he says that HBO Max seems to lack a clear purpose. They need a better hook.
I can see that. I can agree with that, because
especially when they were getting rid of the DC films, I was just kind of like, what are you doing? Like, that's your that's your hook, right?
That confused me to all get out, because HBO's mission, like when they first started, was like it's like home box office. You saw it in the theater, now you can see it in your home. Like, that has been their mission, like since day one. And I guess now with the deal that they just announced, I guess they're taking it to the next level in that. So I definitely agree with John in that regard.
Yeah, and then he says, I'm going to have to give HBO Max another look. Yeah, it's a good series. I mean, it's a good streaming service. Okay, totally. So then at our next place with 31 points, this might be surprising, we have Netflix. Coming in next, and Netflix got a 10 for original content. I think especially if you are including series, it's hard to beat Netflix. I mean, the movies, they have a lot of questionable films on Netflix, so that's a little bit more. We are more a movie show, but I don't know. I mean, I just enjoyed Bridgerton so much. I forgot HBO Max. I loved McMillions. That was one of my favorites. But with Netflix, there's just so many great shows on Netflix. I mean, you can watch The Great British Bake Off. You can. There's Romance is a Bonus Book that I watched. So they've got K-dramas. They've got practically every genre. They have a really good series that is for that genre. So there really is something for everybody. Yeah, Netflix.
And I've been watching Peaky Blinders on there, and I've really enjoyed that. And they've also got Breaking Bad on there, which I've seen several times, but having the knowledge of it being on there is very nice. They have Better Call Saul with the new seasons every time that comes and goes. And that's just
the Queen's Gambit was a big hit this year. I didn't watch it, but I heard good things. Virgin River, I love. The first 2 seasons. Over the Moon was really good this year. Their animation Claws, they have on there, which I love so much. The Christmas Chronicles, really fun. And I mean, they had their misses, like Rebecca was disappointing. But of course they are going to have their misses in their shows and things. But overall, I mean, it's pretty impressive. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, that's really good this year. And I mean, they had The Irishman last year, which a lot of people loved. The Marriage Story. There's just a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and according to some, on a cool August night, you can still hear The Irishman going on right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. Very good. All right. John says, never know what's on Netflix, but always find something good to watch. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's this running joke that you spend more time looking through Netflix than actually watching something.
Right. Yeah. All right. The curated content, we only gave them 6 points on Netflix. So they get 3 from each of us. And they have some good curated content. A lot of it is leaving. So it's going to be even worse next year. But, with The Office leaving, Friends left. They had they're going to be losing all the Disney stuff that they currently have, except for, I guess, the shows, the Marvel shows. But they don't have almost any classics at all. So they get a hit from that. And any kind of, it's all pretty recent stuff.
To be fair, they have some good classic series on there, like World War II in color that I really enjoy, and World War II in HD, which was very good.
I thought that was on Amazon.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I can't think of any old movies that they have on Netflix. There's got to be some, but I can't think of anything that's not
I know they have the Twilight Zone on there, which, I mean, it's the Twilight Zone. We all know what that is. But yeah, it's like going to the classics section. It's like, okay, here are your options. Like you want to go to something else, and it's Netflix is clearly made for like the non TCM demographic, and that's fine. But for someone like me who loves like the movies from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and all that, I go to it and I'm just like, oh yeah, you still got to work on that.
Yeah. And Dash and Lily, that was another series from Netflix that I loved this year. But yeah, I feel like as old as they get are something like from the 90s, maybe,
or the 80s,
maybe. Yeah, but not much classic fare there. And so that's why we gave it a 6. Practically the only thing I think of that's in black and white is Mank.
And that came out this year.
Right. Yeah. So Hidden Gems. We've had a pretty easy time with Hidden Gems, but again, because they don't have many classics, they don't have much curated, they don't have the best curated content. We gave that a 7. I think I can't remember which one of us gave it a 3, which one gave us a 4. Do you remember?
I gave it a 3.
You were the 3. Yeah. So yeah, we kind of talked about that. And then bang for your buck, it's a very good bang for your buck, depending on what plan you have and how many screens you want it in. Depends on what price you end up getting. But we gave it an 8 for bang for your buck. So each of us gave it a 4. Because it's pretty standard as far as pricing. So that ended up with 31. All right. So then at number 2 ranked service with 33 points, so close, is Amazon Prime. And we've said that we feel like if something from Amazon can be underrated, that feels like a weird thing to say because they're such a mammoth company. but if it can be underrated, we kind of feel like Amazon Prime is a little bit underrated as far as the streaming wars go. But they have so much good stuff. And so for original content, we gave it a 10 for original content. They have so many original films that are quality films. Things like Manchester by the Sea and Sylvie's Loves came out there. Things that they get from Sundance that are really high quality. And of course, there's all of the great shows that they have, like the Marvelous Miss Maisel and you were saying The Boys and different things like that. The
reboot of The Tick, which was awesome, and The Boys, like you mentioned, and The Man in the High Castle, which I haven't seen but I've heard really good things, and so yeah, it in the original content department, I think Amazon has got if not the leg up, a leg up.
Yeah, definitely. And you always hear at Sundance of just everything getting bought by Amazon. They have some really, really good movies and shows. And like I said, Manchester by the Sea was one of the first ones that I saw. They had Love and Friendship, which I loved, which is a Jane Austen film. And so I think that they're very strong on that regard. So then at curated content, we gave them a 7. So I can't remember which you did the 4, I did 3. So yeah, they're really strong with curated content as well. There's all different types of films that you can watch. They have classics, they have new, they have a good variety of curated content.
Yeah, I recommended The Amazing Race and on one of the episodes, and that's on there. Survivor's on there. Well, not all of it,
Yeah.
but like season 2 or 3, and then like everything up to like 20 something. They got a lot of seasons on there, but not just that. They have the UK Top Gear on there, which is a series I love. They have Luther on there, starring Idris Elba, one of the best crime dramas ever. I will stand by that. It is a phenomenal series. And Downton Abbey's on there as well, and that's just some that I can name off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's shows like Knives Out is on there, The Lost City of Z, and good, and they have a good mixture of like fan favorites like Kung Fu Panda 2 with more like heady stuff like something like Manchester by the Sea, or they have Instant Family, which I love, which is so great. They have Mission Impossible. They have a very, very good variety on their curated selections.
Yeah. CBS All Access loves to say that they have all the Star Trek. Amazon has all the Star Trek too, all the original series, all of the original movies, the Next Generation, all of the Next Generation movies. Deep Space Nine is on there, Enterprise, and all. The only thing they don't have is the new trilogy and Discovery.
And John says The Expanse, which Amazon rescued from Sci-Fi. So
I have heard good things about that. I've never seen it.
Yeah, there's so many shows. It's so hard to see them all. So many shows, so little time. So then we gave 8 points for Hidden Gems because we always had such an easy time coming up with our lists for Hidden Gems for Amazon. No problem.
Yeah,
so,
and granted, on Amazon Prime, there's some stuff on there like Sharktopus versus War Crocodile or something dumb like that. But then in the same breath as there, you could also find something like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance or El Dorado or obscure westerns like that, or maybe smaller horror movies or middle of the road dramas that you would never look for but are surprisingly good. So it's a crapshoot, but at the same time, if you hit 21, then you're in the money.
Yeah, I mean they have Transformers movies, they have Tyler Perry movies, Twilight's all on there, but they also have lots of good stuff. So it just depends on what you want to watch.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be, in the words of the wise philosopher Thanos.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see, we got a comment here. Aaron Johnson says, I looked at the HBO Max catalog, and what surprised me is they did not mention a section for Boomerang. They mention a couple of Hanna-Barbera shows, but no mention of Huckleberry Hound. So.
Thank you, Aaron, for bringing up Boomerang, because I loved Boomerang. I watched it all the time growing up. I can recognize the bumpers from memory. Boomer Action was on every night. They showed it. Context for everybody. Boomerang was an extension of Cartoon Network. This is where they showed all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons like Flintstones, Jetsons, Yogi Bear, Huckleberry, Magilla Gorilla, Snagglepuss, and Dick Dastardly and his flying machines and the Wacky Olympics. I could go on, but it was awesome. Johnny Quest. And then at night with Boomer Action, they'd have Space Ghost, and the Galaxy Trio. And I know I'm nerding out, but it was such an amazing network. And then in 2015, they just turned it into a streaming service. And I know we're on a thing about streaming services. And that's technically our job, but they put it all behind a paywall, and now they just put all the Diet Cartoon Network stuff on there. And there's some good stuff on there too, like Ben 10, and that's all well and good. But I want my Hanna-Barbera damn it. You know, why did they take it away from me? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
All right. Well, then the last one for Amazon Prime is Bang for Your Buck, and we gave that an 8 because it's just included in your Amazon Prime membership. Well, most of us have anyway, so it's a great deal, and you get your shipping at a low cost and everything like that. So we gave that an 8. So they ended up with 33. Right. Very exciting. Everybody probably can guess our number one pick with 36 points. So they had a very close to a perfect score. Is Disney Plus coming in at number one, 36 points. They started it all. It's appropriate. They started the podcast with Disney.
Yes, in the words of Michael Fassbender's character from Prometheus, big things have small beginnings, which he nicked from Lawrence of Arabia.
You froze right before you said it.
Oh, in the words of T.E. Lawrence from Lawrence of Arabia, big things have small beginnings. Did I freeze again?
Yeah, you freezed again right before you keep saying the quotes.
In the words of T.E. Lawrence, big things have small beginnings.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So that was funny. Like both times, right when he's about to say quote.
God didn't want me to get out the Lawrence of Arabia quote for reasons.
I think so. That was really funny. All right. So for original content, this is where they took the hit for Disney Plus. We gave them a total of 6 points, 3. And I think they get a lot of credit for The Mandalorian being so fun. And I loved we talked about the beginning of The Mandalorian. We didn't really talk about the end because I was so late in finishing, but I had now seen it. And I thought the ending was awesome. I dug it. It was really good.
It was so awesome. I remember I watched it at like 5 a.m. and I was like half asleep, and I was watching it and I was like, and I saw the black robe. I'm like, they didn't mess around and put Luke Skywalker in there, did they?
Sure enough. You're like, yeah.
Green lightsaber. I'm like, oh my God. Like they actually did it. And I checked IMDb. Mark Hamill is there. He was de-aged. He is credited. It is official.
Yeah. It seemed to mean a lot to him. On his Twitter, he was saying how much it meant to him to have that kind of back again, built to do Luke right. And so that was great.
Yeah, make Skywalker great again and all that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. John says, "I love how Ryan fires off quotes from the movies." I love that.
I saw this on a shirt somewhere, but I speak fluent movie quotes.
Yeah, that's right. Very good. But as far as their other original content, I mean, I love Me, My, To Me, Failure, Mistakes Were Made. That's one of my favorites. We both liked The One and Only Ivan, but they've certainly had a lot of misses or a lot of original content. Things like Godmothered, which I thought was so lame. The Artemis Fowl, of course, was a huge stinker. And a lot of their other stuff.
That movie ruined my day. It really did.
And a lot of their other stuff, like, it's fine.
If you want to actually hear the life force from your soul sucking out of you, just listen to Judi Dench say in her most butch Irish voice, "Top of the morning."
Yeah, right. It was like, thank you for introducing me to a movie and not providing the movie. Thank you very much, Kendra. John says, I'm nuts over The Mandalorian, season 1 3 times, season 2 twice so far. Love the soundtrack too. Yeah, it was
3 times. Wow, John. Wow. But the score is awesome too. Ludwig Göransson really does a great job on that. Unlike Tenet, where you can't hear a dang thing, like he was very proud of his music because it literally overpowered the dialogue, where every conversation is like, and I didn't hate that movie. I mean, Christopher Nolan blew up a plane to get the result that he wanted, but like
Of course, they also had Hamilton on Disney Plus, which was really great. And so they have good stuff, but it's just been a little bit sparse in getting it to us. Of course, now they have their investor meeting. We know that we're going to be getting a lot more, but it's been sparse and a bit hit and miss sometimes. Artemis Fowl, not terrible. What the heck, Dame Judy? I agree. It was rough. And
the thing is that when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, this looks promising. Mostly because I like Dex Dark by Radiohead, but I was saying to myself, this looks like it has promise. Oh, how wrong I was.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because I knew it was based on this book series that people loved. And I think that it could have been good. They had all of the pieces. That's always the most frustrating thing, because it's one thing when you have a movie that it feels like people didn't even try. Like most of these Adam Sandler's things, whatever, it's ridiculous. But
Kenneth Branagh is very good at what he does, but there are some movies of his where it's just like,
I mean, it's kind of like Wrinkle in Time to me. Like, it had all of the pieces to make a good movie. It had a good source material. It had a good director. It had a good cast. It had good special effects. Why didn't they make it good? I don't know. What happened?
It had 70-foot tall Oprah. Oprah's supposed to make everything better.
Yeah. Oh, woo. So yeah, it's rough. But for curated content, they can't be beat. Disney Plus, 10 points. I mean, if you're a Disney animation fan, it's having all of the or most of the Disney canon classics able to watch at a moment's notice. They'll have a huge library of their shorts, the Spark shorts, so many Pixar films. We should include Soul as far as original content in that, and we have just all the National Geographic content, curated shows. There's all the Disney Channel stuff. I mean, there's just so much great curated content for families in Disney Plus.
Yeah, and for me, they have stuff like, like That's So Raven and Impossible and a bunch of other shows that I grew up watching and absolutely loving. And
Good Luck Charlie.
Good Luck Charlie and Phineas and Ferb, and it's crazy. They have all the Disney afternoon shows on there from the early to mid 90s, and they have the Gummy Bears on there, and all the DuckTales are on there, and
there's all the Star Wars. There's all the MCU, or most of the MCU. There's still some on Netflix, but we're getting there. And so
plus they're getting all the MCU series coming up, like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki and all that.
Yeah. So I think original content next year, when we're doing the same ranking again, which we should definitely do it next year, I think Disney Plus will be even higher for original content. So yeah. And then Hidden Gems, there's just literally no end to all the incredible classic live action films that they have. Things like Mr. Boogedy that we've had fun talking about. There's just so many different fun classic films that people haven't seen, and even animated films that are underrated that people haven't seen. I just think it's incredible. So we gave them a 10 for Hidden Gems. We've had no problem. Disney sports movies. Again, you've got all the National Geographic, Disney Nature. There's just no end to what you can watch on Disney Plus.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then right now, we gave them a 10 for bang for your buck. And it could be changing. It probably will change. But right now, I mean, it's like $8 a month.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And even if you wanted to add like ESPN Plus and Hulu, that's not very much onto it at all.
Right. You can bundle it. I mean, mine I bought for like $120 for 3 years at D23 in 2019. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous price for what you get. It's crazy.
Plus, for such small a price, you can go back and watch like maybe some obscure Disney movies like The Watcher in the Woods or The Black Hole, movies that didn't really do all that well, but now with like a lot of years far removed, people can see it from a new perspective and see how underrated those movies are. At least that's what I would do anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we tried to do in the show, is kind of profile some of those kind of films. So they end up with 36. They win the day, Disney Plus. Very exciting. So it's Disney Plus, then Amazon Prime, then Netflix, then HBO Max, then Canopy, then Peacock. So, but they all, like I always joke, I always say there's no excuse to be bored. I don't want to hear it anymore because there's so much.
No excuse.
So we have stuff like that. So hello from Seattle. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
So
we made it.
Yes, we did. We got through it together. We really did. So, all right. And then Aaron says, Judi Dench can be funny in the right role. For me, her performances M in the Bond movies are far better than her weird performances in Cats and Godmothered.
I have no idea what happened to her in the last 3 years. That crap crazy roles, but like she was awesome in M and the Bond movies. Even in her first time in it, in GoldenEye, like she was great. And you know, in everything, and just even in her smaller stuff, she's been great. But it's like either her or her agent or someone just like needs a reality check, because it's like she's like I've blocked out Cats. I've blocked out like 90% of Cats, so I can't even remember.
Well, and she can be quite funny. I mean, even just her and Maggie Smith and I forget who else. Joan Albright and Eileen Atkins. Them just talking together with, there's called the Tea with the Dames. That they're just literally just like chatting, and it's fantastic and hilarious and wonderful.
I quite enjoyed the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
Yes, me too. So she can be quite humorous. It's just a question of, I think that she maybe needs to try not to do family films for a little bit. Needs to take a break from family films. Maybe needs to be in a couple Oscar baity movies, and then we can get back to that. So there we go. That is James Judi Dench says the evil queen of numbers, AKM, is pretty darn good. I agree. So I like DJD. Like I never heard that acronym for her. All right, there we go. We did it. So let us know in the comment section what you think of our ranking. Do you agree, disagree, and how you would rank these 6 streaming services. Make sure you check out our episodes where we, some of these, I think we've done 8 or 9 on Disney Plus as the most, because that's what we started out with. And then probably Netflix is our next most that we've done, but we've done multiple episodes on each of these. So you should definitely take a look at all of those. You'll enjoy it. And Ryan, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just called Ryan Cam. Before I get into what's going on there, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I started off 2020 at about 74, 75 subscribers, and I think I'm going to be finishing off the year at 118. So
nice.
Thank you to everyone who has checked me out. Your views and your views and you're checking me out will never not go unnoticed. Now, as far as what's coming up in the immediate future, well, the other day I released my Pixar ranking video, and that was one of my more ambitious videos I've done in a while. Tomorrow, I'm going to be uploading my DCEU ranking in honor of Wonder Woman 1984. And then on Sunday, which should be the 3rd, I'll be doing the first of my special Sunday videos that I'm going to start doing. And it's going to be the first one is going to be my first reaction and review to the classic anime movie Akira. And of course, the AFI project is still going to be going strong. So there's a lot of new content going to be coming onto the channel in the coming weeks and months. So if you all haven't checked me out, please do. I put a lot of time and effort into it. I'm very proud of it. And the channel's just going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, y'all should definitely check it out. Lots of good stuff there. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes, and also at the Hallmarkies Podcast. Lots of good stuff going on over there as we kind of sum up the year in movies. We're going to be having a really fun January. And so, yeah, take a look at that. I'll always have interviews and other good stuff over there. So check it out. And we wish you all a very, very, very happy New Year. And thank you so much. I would have been just so isolated and alone if it wasn't for this channel and my podcasts and being able to interact with friends like you, Ryan, and Chris from Durbania for the Sunday devotionals and all the stuff I've been able to do. So I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for all the support of all the listeners and viewers and commenters and all of that. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And strangely, in a year where everyone's like, you got to stay away from people, I've been more social with pretty much everybody. Yeah. So it's like before all this, it was like there was no rules in regards to that. I mean, there were some rules, but there were like in terms of social stuff, you could speak to whoever, interact with whoever, but in a time where it's like stay in your homes, like do that thing. I made more friends and interacted with more people than regardless. So it's a bit of a dash of irony.
Yeah, it really is. Very ironic. So John says, this was fun as always, Rachel and Ryan. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you so much for your great comments.
You are most welcome, John.
Yes. And Happy New Year. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Happy New Year.